Holy Bible. Thanks for joining in. God bless y'all and welcome in. All right, so yesterday we read chapters 5 through 7, I believe, or no, 6. So, chapter 5, well, Pharaoh decided to increase the workload of the Israelites in Egypt so that they had less power. They made them go for their own straw and they still made them produce bricks for whatever reason. Sorry, weird. By the way, do you notice how Pharaoh and Pharisees have the same PHAR, the same four letters at the beginning? It's kind of foreshadow, I guess. Then the Israelites were like so ungrateful, and then Moses is like, "What are you doing, Lord? Now they're coming after me for all this." Then in chapter 6, God is like, "Listen, I've already established my covenant, and therefore tell you what you say. I will rescue them from the hands of unrighteousness." And checks because he doesn't speak well. God is like, "Go anyways, I'll be with you." And then Pharaoh is like denying the people, uh, denying denying Moses. So he denies Moses, and Pharaoh's like, "Nope, I will not go. I'll definitely, or sorry, not go. I will not let y'all go. Instead, I will." Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Um, um, but yeah, Pharaoh is not willing to let the Israelites go to the feast that the Lord says to bring them to. God will use Moses to bring to con, to convince Pharaoh to let them go. So let's see. I stopped at chapter after chapter 6, um, so that we could, go and reflect on this text on all of the curses at once. So let's go. Let's start. Chapter 7. I will extend my hand. Then the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your prophet. As for you, you shall speak all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh that all that I command, or sorry, that he let the sons of Israel go out of his land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart so that I may multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. When Pharaoh does not listen to you, I will lay my hand on Egypt and bring out my armies, my people, the sons of Israel, from the land of Egypt by great judgments. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I extend my hand over Egypt and bring out the sons of Israel from their midst. Moses and Aaron did this as the Lord commanded them. So they did. And Moses was 83 years old, and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Again, the Lord is going to make it harder for Pharaoh to listen, but he does this to magnify himself, prove that he is indeed the Lord. So, yeah, let's continue. Aaron's staff turns into a serpent. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, work a miracle, then you shall say to Aaron, Take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, so that it may turn to a serpent. So Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh, and so they did, just as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron threw his staff down before Pharaoh and his servants, and it turned into a serpent. And then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers, and they too. The soothsayer priests of Egypt did the same with their secret arts. For each one threw his staff, and they turned into serpents. But Aaron's staff swallowed their staffs. Yet Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. Water turned into blood. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is stubborn. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning, just as he is going out to the water, and position yourself to meet him on the bank of the Nile. And you shall take in your hand the staff that was turned into a serpent, and you shall say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you, saying, My people, let my people go, so that they may serve. Me in the wilderness. But behold, you have not listened up to now. Listen what the Lord says. By this you shall know that I am the Lord. Behold, I am going to strike the water that is in the Nile with the staff that is in my hand, and it will be turned into blood. And it will then the fish that are in the Nile will die. The Nile will stink, and the Egyptians will no longer be able to drink water from the Nile. Then the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Take your staff and extend your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their streams, over their pools, and over all their reservoirs of water, so that they may become blood. And there will be blood through all the land of Egypt, both in containers of wood and in containers of stone. So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded, and they lifted up the staff and struck the water that was in the Nile in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the water that was in the Nile was turned into blood. Then the fish that were in the Nile died, and the Nile stank, so that the Egyptians could not drink water from the Nile. And the blood was through all the land of Egypt. But the soothsayer priests of Egypt did the same with their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them, just as Lord had said. Then Pharaoh turned and went into his house with no concern even for this. So the Egyptians dug around the Nile for water to drink, because they could not drink from the water of the Nile. 7 days passed after the Lord had struck the Nile. Okay, so far, of course, God says to Moses, Pharaoh's not going to listen. Regardless, do all these signs and wonders as I command you, so that they may see what I can do. Yes. So the first sign and the wonder was the staff turning into a serpent. Um, that happens, but then the soothsayer priests, all wise men and sorcerers as well, of Egypt, which were with Pharaoh, they do the same, and they prove, look, we can do the same too. So what? And then they turned the water into blood. And yet, those guys were able to do the same too. And Pharaoh was like, ah, you think you can do so well? Well, guess what? We can do the same too. So what? I ain't listening to you. And Pharaoh was in no, uh, Pharaoh was not the least concerned. Oh, yeah. All right. We will read chapter 8, Frogs Over the Land, next. way to chapter 11. And then after completing chapter 11, he will stop. First, let me get a drink. Mhm. Also, I will take a break. By the way, um, don't forget, if you have any questions, tell me in the comments below. Ah, Right. Right. Yeah. All right. I think we're ready for the next part, chapter 8. Frogs over the land. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says: Let my people go, so that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I am going to strike your entire territory with frogs. Then I will swarm with frogs, which will come up and go into your house, and into your bedroom, and on your bed, and into the houses of your servants, and on your people, and into your ovens and kneading bowls. So the frogs will come up on you, your people, and on all your servants.' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Say to Aaron, extend your hand with your staff over the rivers, over the streams, and over the pools, and make frogs come up on the land of Egypt.' So Aaron um, extended his hand over the waters of Egypt and, uh, sorry, uh, over the waters of Egypt, and then the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. However, the soothsayer priests did the same with their secret arts, making frogs come up on the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, 'Plead with the Lord to remove the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, so that they may sacrifice to the Lord.' And Moses said to Pharaoh, 'The honor is yours to tell me, when shall I plead for you and your servants and your people, that the frogs may be destroyed from you and your houses, that they be left only in the Nile?' Then he said, 'Tomorrow.' So he said, 'May it be according to your words, so that you know that there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will depart from you and your houses, and from your servants and your people. They will be left only in the Nile.' Then Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to the Lord concerning the frogs which he had inflicted upon Pharaoh. The Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the um, houses, the courtyards, and the fields. So they piled them in heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. Plague of insects. Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Say to Aaron, extend your staff and strike the dust of the earth, so that it may turn into gnats through all the land of Egypt.' They did so, and Aaron extended his hand with his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and there were gnats on every person and animal. All the dust of the earth turned into gnats through all the land of Egypt. The soothsayer priests tried with their secret arts to produce gnats, but they could not. So there were gnats on every person and animal. Then the soothsayer priest said to Pharaoh, 'This is the finger of God.' But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Rise early in the morning and present yourself before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says. Let my people go so that they may serve me. For if you are not going to let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you and on your servants and on your people and into your houses. And the houses of the Egyptians will be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they live. But on that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, where my people are living, so that no swarms of flies will be there, in order that you may know that I, the Lord, am in the midst of the land. I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign will occur. And the Lord did so. And thick swarms of flies entered the house of Pharaoh and the houses of his servants, and the land was laid waste because of the swarms of flies in all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, go sacrifice to your God within the land. But Moses said, it is not permissible for us to do so, because we will sacrifice to the Lord our God that which is an abomination to the Egyptians. We sacrifice that which is an abomination to the Egyptians before their eyes. Will they not stone us? We must go a 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God, just as he commands us. Pharaoh said, I will let you go, so that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Plead for me. Then Moses said, behold, I am going to leave you, and I will plead with the Lord that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. Only do not let Pharaoh deal deceitfully again in not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. Moses left Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord. The Lord did as Moses asked and removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained. Pharaoh hardened his heart in this time also, and he did not let the people go. He is as stubborn as they come. Now, so far the plagues, they are, of course, the uh first we have the staff turning into a serpent, then the water turned into blood, then the plagues, frogs over the land, gnats and flies on all the people. Egyptian livestock died. And I might actually go more into detail at the end. Not right now, but later. Egyptian livestock died. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh and ask to him, or speak to him. This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them, behold, the hand of the Lord will come with a very severe plague on your livestock which are in the field, on the horses, on the donkeys, on the camels, on the herds, and on the flocks. But the Lord will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, so that nothing will die of all that belongs to the sons of Israel. And the Lord set a definite time, saying, tomorrow the Lord will do this thing in the land. So the Lord did this thing on the next day, and all the livestock of Egypt died. But not one of the livestock of the sons of Israel died. And Pharaoh sent men, and they learned that, behold, not even one of the livestock of Israel is dead. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. The plague of boils. Then The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, take for yourselves handfuls of soot from a kiln, and Moses shall toss it toward the sky in the sight of Pharaoh. Then it will become fine dust over all the land of Egypt, and will turn into boils, breaking out with sores on every person throughout all the land of Egypt. They took soot from the kiln and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses tossed it toward the sky, and it became boils, while breaking out with sores on every person and animal. The soothsayer priest could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boils were on the soothsayer priest as well as on all the Egyptians. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's hearts, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had spoken to Moses. Rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so that they may serve me. For this time I am going to send all my plagues on you and your servants and all people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For had I now put my hand and struck you and your people with a plague, you wouldn't have been eliminated from the earth. But indeed, for this reason I have allowed you to remain, in order to show you my power, and in order to proclaim my name throughout the earth. Still, you exalt yourself against my people by not letting them go. The plague of hail. Behold, about this time tomorrow, I will send a very heavy hail, such as has not been seen in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. So now send word, bring your livestock and whatever you have in the field to safety. Every person and animal that is found in the field that is not brought home, when the hail comes down on them, will die. Everyone among the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of the Lord hurried to bring his servants and his livestock into the houses. But everyone who did not pay regard to the word of the Lord left his servants and his livestock in the field. Now the Lord said to Moses, reach out with your hand toward the sky, so that hail may fall on all the land of Egypt, on every person and animal, and on every plant of the field, throughout the land of Egypt. So Moses reached out his staff toward the sky, and the Lord set thunder and hail, and fire ran down to the earth. Then the Lord rained hail on the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire flashing intermittently in the midst of the hail, which is very heavy, such as had not occurred in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. Hail struck everything that was in the field through all the land of Egypt, from people to animals. The hail also struck every plant of the field and shattered every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the sons of Israel were, there was no hail. And Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron and said to I've sinned this time. The Lord is the righteous one, and I and my people are the wicked ones. Plead with the Lord, for there has been enough of God's thunder and hail, and I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer. Moses said to him, as soon as I go out from the city, I will spread out my hands to the Lord. The thunder will cease, and there will be no longer hail, so that you may know that the earth is the Lord's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear the Lord God. Now the flax and the barley was ruined, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not ruined, for they ripened or late. So Moses left the city from his meeting with Pharaoh and spread out his hands to the Lord, and thunder and the hail stopped, and rain no longer poured on the earth. But when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had stopped, he sinned again and hardened his heart, he and his servants. So Pharaoh's heart had hardened, and he did not let the sons of Israel go, just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. All right. So going forward, this um, Egyptian livestock died. One plague. The other one was plague of the boils, and the other one is plague of hail. And then um, the Lord is sending all his plagues among the Egyptians and Pharaoh, so that he may glorify his name among them and let the Israelites go. So, yeah, we'll continue with chapter 10, the plague of locusts, and chapter 11 as well. And after that, we will summarize into detail, but we'll take another break. All right, folks. Here we go. This is chapter 10, the plague of the locusts. Yeah, there's something I want to say, but we'll go into detail at the end. Then the Lord said, by the way, I think we're going to leave it in one full screen instead. I think I said yesterday, maybe not, I'm not sure, that I was going to do it in different parts of streams, different streams, but in the same day, but I'm going to do it in one full stream. But yeah. All right, folks. Chapter 10, the plague of the locusts. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, so that I may perform these signs of mine among them, and that you may tell in the presence of your son and of your grandson how I made a mockery of the Egyptians, and how I performed my signs among them, so that you may know that I am the Lord." So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, so that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your territory, and they will cover the surface of the land, so that no one will be able to see the land. They will also eat the rest of what was survived, or what has survived, what is left to you from the hail, and they will eat every tree of yours which grows in the field. Then your houses will be filled with them, together with the houses of your servants and the houses of all the Egyptians, all of your servants and the Egyptians, something which neither your fathers nor your grandfathers have seen, from the day that day came upon the earth until this day." And he turned and left Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long shall this man be a snare to us? Let the people go, so that they may serve your Lord, your God, their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is destroyed?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go serve the Lord your God. Who specifically are the ones who are going?" Moses said, "We shall go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds we shall go, for many must hold a feast to the Lord." Then he said to them, "So may the Lord be with you when I let you and your little ones go. Watch out, for evil is on your mind. Not so. Go now, but only the men among you, and serve the Lord, since that is what you desire."
So they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. And the Lord said to Moses, reach out with your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, so that they may come up on the land of Egypt and eat every plant of the land, everything that the hail has left. So Moses reached out with his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord directed an east wind on the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. The locusts came up over all the land of Egypt and settled in all the territory of Egypt. They were very numerous. There had never been so many locusts, nor would there be so many again, for they covered the surface of the whole land, so that the land was darkened, and they ate every plant of the land, and ate all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Therefore nothing green was left on tree or plant of the field throughout the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh hurriedly called for Moses and Aaron, and he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. So now, please forgive my sin only this once, and plead with the Lord your God that he would only remove this death from me. Then he left Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord. So the Lord shifted the wind to a very strong west wind, which picked up the locusts and drove it into the Red Sea. Not one locust was left in all the territory of Egypt, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the sons of Israel go. Darkness over the land. Then the Lord said to Moses, reach out with your hand toward the sky, so that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. So Moses reached out his hand toward the sky, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt for 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But all the sons of Israel had light in their dwellings. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and said, go, serve the Lord. Only let your flocks and your herds be left behind. Even your little ones may go with you. But Moses said, you must also let us have sacrifices and burnt offerings, so that we may sacrifice them to the Lord our God. Therefore our livestock shall go with us. Not a hoof shall be left behind, for we shall take some of them to serve the Lord our God. And until we arrive there, we ourselves do not know with what we shall serve the Lord. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he was not willing to let them go. And Pharaoh said to them, get away from me. Be careful, do not see my face again, for on the day you see my face, you shall die. Moses said, you have spoken correctly. I shall never see your face again. Okay, so chapter 10. The Lord brings a plague of locusts, of course. Plague of locusts and darkness over the land. And even then, the Lord has hardened Pharaoh's heart to the point where Pharaoh doesn't even let them go as he promised. So, yeah, let's read one last chapter, the last plague. Chapter 11. Now the Lord said to Moses, one more plague I will bring on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. When he lets you go, he will assuredly drive you out from here completely. Speak now, so that the people may hear, that each man is to ask of his neighbor, and each woman of their neighbor, articles of silver and articles of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Furthermore, the man Moses himself was greatly esteemed in the land of Egypt, both in the sight of Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. Then Moses said, this is what the Lord says. About midnight I'm going out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sits on his throne, to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the millstones, so that all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There shall be a great cry in all the land of Egypt, such as there has not been before, and such as shall never be again. But not even a dog will threaten any of the sons of Israel, nor anything from person to animal, so that you may learn how the Lord distinguishes between Egypt and Israel. And all these servants of yours will come down to me and bow themselves before me, saying, Go out, you and all the people who follow you. And after that, I will go out. And he left Pharaoh in the heat of anger. And the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that my wonders will be multiplied in the land of Egypt. So Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh. Yet the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the sons of Israel go out of his land. For the Lord. Praise be to God. All right, so the last plague, well, the Lord tells Moses, you know what? Pharaoh's not going to listen, but I'm going to, at midnight, go to all the people and they will respect you, and tell them what I'm about to do. At midnight, I'm going to all of Egypt and destroy all the firstborns of Pharaoh, and I'll destroy their livestock, their cattle, the firstborn of their cattle. And I will leave Egypt in desolation. But I'll recognize my people from the Egyptians, so have faith in me, and I will rescue you. And after that, the Passover will happen, which we will read tomorrow, chapters 12 and 13. So, how many pages did we read? We read about 6 pages, I think. But yeah, regardless, so the plague was the firstborn of Pharaoh, of the people of Pharaoh, and the firstborn of the cattle of the Egyptians with Pharaoh. They will die. Now, I wonder what happened with Pharaoh after this. Oh, so Pharaoh does talk to them one more time, but we will cover that tomorrow, chapter 12. right, I'm going to take one last break and then we'll wrap this up with the summary. Okay, folks, so let's go over all these chapters. So chapter 7, of course, the Lord emphasizes each time that Pharaoh will have his heart hardened by the Lord. And the Lord wants to test, keep in mind, the Lord wants to test the faith of every Israelite in the land of Egypt. And they're going to be ungrateful, yeah. But look, of course, just like when Moses commanded the staff to be turned into a serpent, it turned to a serpent and turned back into the staff. Now, he shows Pharaoh this, and of course, then it happens. Water turned into blood. It kind of reminds me of, I think in Argentina, the water turned into red. I'm not sure if it was blood. Can't remember exactly, but it turned red. Yeah, like if it was blood. I'm not sure if it's exactly blood. I didn't look in. I can't remember the details exactly, but yeah, it turned into blood. I can't remember if it was. Sorry, that was my stomach, you guys. Yeah, I think in the book of Revelation it says that water will turn into blood. Yeah, so this is one foreshadow of what will happen in the end times. The fish will die. All aquatic life will die, and the water will turn into blood. So there's one foreshadow. Pharaoh's heart is so stubborn, just like the Pharisees' heart is so stubborn. So the Pharaoh and the Pharisees go hand in hand. And Moses and Aaron did all this. And the Egyptians tried to dig around the Nile for water to drink. Then the Lord will unleash plagues such as frogs, insects, such as gnats and flies, which is kind of reminds me of Nile virus, because of the flies. The mosquitoes will give us Nile virus. Just putting that out there. Um, um, yeah. Interesting enough, they decide not to sacrifice in the land of the Egyptians, but they decide to go sacrifice in another place. So you not want to be persecuted by the Egyptians. And then the other plague in chapter 9 is Egyptian livestock die, and there will be boils among people, and the plague of hail. Um, so all of these plagues that the Lord's putting on destroys the crops and all the food sources in Egypt, and it also gives plagues to the people themselves, boils and flies going after them, and frogs in their household. And it becomes an annoyance and plague, and also um, their food sources are destroyed. And what's left of the hail enter the locusts, they destroy. Um, Now, in Revelation, it mentions that there will be locusts entering the land. Now, locusts, in the context that Revelation has it, is akin to the angels of the devil, the evil servants, the evil angels. Um, so, in one way, Satan is wiping out the crops, if you want to see it that way. But it's really God's plague, so, you know. And then the Lord sends out darkness in the land. Now, some of these plagues, like the Nile River, the blood in the water, and the locust and darkness over the land, are plagues repeated in Revelation. It also mentions that people will die, yes. But yeah, darkness over the land. If I'm not sure what exactly darkness, but I assume that it's going to be like a solar eclipse. I'm not too sure. After this, get out of here. You're not welcome here anymore. Otherwise, you're dead. And Moses, like, so shall it be. You'll never see me again. So, yeah. So, Exodus actually has connections with Revelation. Uh-oh, Metro's concerned. How's it going, Metro? Speak to us. But yeah. And then this last plague that the Lord reveals to the Egyptians is the cattle, firstborn, and the firstborn of Pharaoh, all the firstborn of the people of Pharaoh dying. Um, um, nothing much to say, at least from my end, other than many of these plagues, the locusts, the blood in the water, and the darkness, they will reflect what will happen during the end times. So, yeah. And the Lord is glorifying himself by doing these wonders in front of the Egyptians through Moses and Aaron. So, yeah, that's what we read today. What do you think of the picture with you and Adam? Yeah. I forgot. I had this shirt on. Um, it was awesome. I will say that my face looked a little weird, but it looked amazing regardless. I'd have to look at it again, but I believe that my face looked a little oval sized. And Adam and I, if I'm not mistaken, we're both 5'11". So, and in the pic, I think I'm taller than Adam, but in reality, you look more Native American in that pic, LOL. Wow, Native American. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, I'd have to look back on that. Thank you. Thank you for that pic. That made my day. And right after this stream ends, I'm going to go and make it my lock screen and my background. I just need to get into Discord. Or actually, no. Yeah. I'll go into that again. But yeah, I hope work is going all right for you. I got one with him hugging Jenna Ortega. All right. Oh, my laptop is in my truck, so I'll have to go. Darn it. Yeah. Jenna Ortega is small, I believe, so I could only imagine. Do I have my other laptop? Dell? Yep, I have it. Alright. Let's see if this works. I'm going to make one with him hugging Mike. LOL. Yeah, keep us updated with that. Oh. Yeah. It's not turning on. I think... Yeah, I have to charge my laptop, sadly. But yeah. So summary is the Lord has put plagues. He has Aaron turn the staff into a serpent. Water is turned into blood on the Nile River. Then plagues such as frogs, gnats, and flies. And then Egyptian livestock dying. And then the locusts, the boils, the hail, and the locusts. And then the darkness over the land. And then the firstborn of Pharaoh's and the livestock, the cattle dying. Those are all the wonders and signs that have been performed upon Pharaoh so that they may recognize the Lord our God. And so, thank you so much for joining in, folks. Yeah, my laptop is not going to turn on. I have to charge it, actually. Let's see if I have the charger. but I will check it out when I have the time. Thank you, Metro, for stopping by. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll go check it out in just a bit, Metro. But for now, go in peace and seek the love of the Lord. Enjoy your weekend.